A long time ago, before settlers came, our people were one with the earth. We say that our creation story says that we came from the wind cave over in the Black Hills, and that we were tricked out of underneath the ground, and we came from Mother Earth, and we were born onto this land. And so everything that we did was from the land. We were nomadic people, and so we traveled all over the Turtle Island here. And so everything that we did came from the land. Our food, our medicine, our lodges, our clothing, our artwork, our weapons, everything came from the land. And everything was done by women. The men were the providers. And so if we think about things.
We have people who can't hear.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna
just give me that. Okay.
Do a test in there. Sorry.
Can everybody hear me now? Okay. I apologize.
No, it's the microphone. We got it.
Okay. So when we came from the land, we were unsure of how to survive up here on the surface, and so we used our spirit guides, as well as the animals that taught us, that lived here long before we did, that taught us how to use the plants as our medicine and our food. And so as we began our life on this surface, we used plants as our food and our medicine, and we learned to stewardship the land. And so we didn't farm as you would typically think that is today. So we harvested our seeds in the beginning of the spring and in the fall. And so we would take those seeds and we would kind of figure out where best our plants grew, because we had different paths that we traveled for food. We followed the buffalo herd. We followed where the main source of meat protein were, but we also followed our plant medicine. The oak tree, if you cut a young branch, it has a star in the branch in the center. And so that is where a big chunk of our medicine grew, was around those trees, because we not only used plants, but we also used mushrooms. Mushrooms have medicinal and food value. And so we knew all of this a long time ago. And so we would follow the oak trees. Wherever they went is where most of our medicine was. And so as we've traveled along, we spread the seeds that we needed to grow in these areas, because we traveled every 4 to 7 days. We packed up camp and we left, because we didn't want to deplete the land of resources, because our camps could be anywhere from 150 to a few thousand people. And so land resources would get depleted really quick. And so we left every 4 to 7 days, and we traveled. And everything that we had to pack up and go really quick in case we needed to leave really quick. And so a long time ago, or actually, if you think about it, our lives mimic the buffalo. And so as the buffalo left every so many areas, or left the area every so many days, they traveled. And what they did was that they would pack up their children, the young ones, and then they would get the women. And then as a herd, they would have the women and the children in the center, and the men would go on the outside, and they would travel that way. And so Lakota people, or indigenous people, our people, we traveled the same way. And the history and the culture that goes into each of our plants is incredibly important, and it gives us knowledge, and it gives us healing, so that when we go outside, we don't just spray our lawns with unnecessary chemicals, but we look at each plant as an individual life, as an individual spirit, and we thank that spirit for being there, because it's growing there for a purpose. It was super funny this past summer. We never had mullein growing in our backyard, but one of our daughters struggles with upper respiratory infections a lot. And all of a sudden this past summer and spring, I had like 8 mullein plants in my yard. And so I was like, well, all right, I will harvest the mullein. And so mullein is really good for upper respiratory infections. And so I harvested that medicine for her, and it really helped her out. And so a long time ago, we actually used to use the mullein not only for as a tobacco, as a smoke, because if you smoke or smudge the mullein leaves and breathe in the smoke, you're going to cough your head off for about a minute or two, but then your cough is gone. And so a long time ago, that was put into our tobacco to make sure that our lungs were clean and to prevent any type of illness in the lungs or in the throat, because a long time ago we didn't have a pharmacy to run to. And so we had to keep track of all of the plants that we needed and have them harvested. And so when I say our chinchasha was one of our most powerful medicines, absolutely it was. And so it was either smoked or it was inhaled like a smudge. And so that was our first go-to medicine before we started looking at the plants that grew around us for food and for medicine. And so if our chinchasha was the starter, because it helped our spirit come back to us, and it helped our spirit start to heal and accept the plant medicine that it was about ready to receive. And so our spirit, we say that our spirits not only live in our body, but sometimes they wander out. And so in order for us to heal, we have to call our spirit back. And so we do that by offering that individual a smudge with azalea, as we say, or sage. And so we call our spirit back and we smudge ourselves off, and then we smoke the tobacco to help our spirit heal. And then we create the medicine that that person needs, whether it's a cough or it's a cold or you have stomach problems or something. And so we make sure that our spirit is back in our bodies. Because there's different reasons that our spirits leave, whether they're just off wandering around in the same room that you're in, or they're off enjoying the summer while you're working your rear end off. Anyway,